Let's bring this meeting to order. And that's the extent of my knowledge about being a chairperson.
I think that's, no, there's one other piece you have to remember, that's at the end.
So just with this scheduling and so, do you want me to
You can
just
do
start
it.
with
I
that,
think
or?
the email covered what the issue is,
Right.
so.
So what we need to talk about, first of all, we found out that Chief Dronsfield, can't meet on Tuesdays, so we need to, while we're doing this discussion and redoing the schedule, we'll have to find another time for him to be able to meet. But the big thing is
Select board.
the two select board members can't meet on Tuesdays. So
Okay.
we need to see, Pat had an issue with some Thursdays.
I'm good, I went
You
through and
did-
looked at it.
you did?
Yeah, the Thursdays that I have an issue with, we don't have a meeting on, so it doesn't matter.
Okay,
I'm
so
good.
could the two of you do Thursdays? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I'm just pulling up my calendar here. I got my computer working.
You can keep the last, well, basically the last three, can stay on Tuesdays if you want, that's up to you,
Because they are,
because it's just us.
right.
If Tuesdays work better for people.
So we would need to change the first 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, the 6.
5, 6.
Yeah.
And you would come up with, and didn't you have a conflict on some Thursdays, you
It
said?
depends on the Thursday. So,
So if you redo the schedule and you make it for Thursdays,
well, if other people can do Thursdays, I don't.
well, that's what we're
And I
figuring
know
out.
Bambi had originally wanted Thursday.
She wanted Thursdays anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem for her.
Yeah, I have some Thursday conflicts, but not for the days we're having meetings.
Okay,
Okay,
so-
good.
September 22nd, that's fine.
So September 20, so
22nd.
9/22,
Yep,
And
For the first
presumably
one.
the police department can make that one then if it's not.
Yep.
and then,
his problem is he's down officer, so he's covering
Right,
shifts.
so
That's
he's
why he
covering-
can't do Mondays and Tuesdays. The
or it
20
would be very difficult for him, so it's not.
Well, the thing is, he could make it, but if he gets a call, he's gone.
Yeah, then
so
he
it
has to
no
leave.
sense,
That's
So,
not fair to him.
and the next one, we can go to 9/29, if that
9/29.
works for people.
Mhm.
That works.
And then, the one on the 18th, I would have to miss it on the 20th. I have another thing already.
10,
We could move it to the
18.
week before on the 13th if you want.
10/18 is a Tuesday.
Yeah, but
The 20th.
You
is a
can't
Thursday.
do the 20th.
20th, yeah. We could
Okay.
do it on the 13th, the week before on a Thursday, if you want to do that.
I can't do it, but that's okay, you're,
No, no,
it's
no.
more important that you're here.
No, I don't, well, the 20th, I would have to leave and go downstairs at 7:30.
Oh, that should be all right, Scott.
That's all right.
Yeah.
He doesn't usually take that much time, so, okay, so let's move that on the 20th.
So the 18th goes to the 20th.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll be able to do that.
Okay, and the 25th moves to the 27th, that's okay? And then.
I'm gonna be out of town the week of the 24th, so I'll miss the 27th meeting.
Yeah, those are social agencies, and the only thing I
I
put in.
just say yes to all of those
I
anyway.
know,
Okay.
I know.
And, yeah, and we can fill you in if we
Okay.
have to, right?
And the next one, November 3rd, that one's fine. And the last one is,
11/3.
17.
oops, what is it doing? 11/17, that's my thing is on the third Thursday, so I would miss part of the CIP, so we could still do that,
We
11/17,
have to talk about the CIP.
Is it something new now?
yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Actually, it isn't anything yet.
I think you.
Didn't we start bringing it up
Bob
last
Woodward
year?
is on the IT committee. What? I'm sorry.
We started bringing it up last year, like there was gonna
Yeah.
be sort
We
of a
voted in a
switch
new
over.
draft.
So they've got you.
Yeah, me and Dean Rubin, I think was the other name.
No, Dean's on the IT committee, I think, is Dean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what,
Does the IT committee exist?
Yep,
I thought Denise said.
there's
It does.
4 people. I think there's 4 people. But the CIP committee, we're having a hard time getting somebody from the planning board. They're not responding.
Where are you on the IT committee? Cord?
Are we going to be able to get Bob Smith's data?
Bob Smith's gone.
Stands for
I know,
information
I mean,
technology.
No, so, that, no,
Is-
okay, I didn't know if that was what they were talking about, but I didn't know we had
That's
an
really
IT
bothering me
committee.
is
No.
computers.
It's technically called the Municipal Technology Advisory Committee.
The other thing that you will
And
need
we
is,
just added that?
not that you have to have it,
Yeah,
but
MTech.
the financial planning tool,
Yeah.
so,
I don't want to.
Currently, there's only
I didn't
one person
know.
listed.
I
on the
suggested
website.
And I
this
certainly don't want to be a committee of
meeting.
one.
And they said, okay.
And then when they were getting it together,
Well, exactly, so I don't.
we're still pushing to get people to sign up, but
I've
nobody's.
taken on other responsibilities.
Which
And-
committee are you
So
guys talking
then-
about?
So then
Activity.
you're not part of it,
Are we gonna use the information from the financial planning?
which they probably.
Can I look at my
The
clerk?
the board goods will,
So I'm gonna
would.
write down
Yes.
these dates.
Okay, so there is a disaster mode.
Yes, there is disaster mode, fallback mode,
Okay.
but the thing we'd look for you people to do is to have another look at those pieces of information
Yeah.
to what you recommend, so.
Okay, well, that's fine.
What committee were you guys talking about again? I'm
The
sorry.
CIP, the
Okay.
town voted a new procedure with a new committee, and at the moment, it's a committee of me.
Just, yeah,
We're
we're trying to get somebody from the planning board, because the warrant was passed. There's supposed to be a member from there on,
Okay.
so, oh, no, you've got Katrin. Katrin's the select board rep.
And still, it's
Oh.
a committee of two, and
Well, two is better than one.
Yeah, two is better than just you.
And then you'll have to have somebody from the planning board, so that'll be 3.
What do you
Who's
have
on
to
the planning
do
board?
to be qualified for this committee?
Breathing?
I was gonna say,
That's it.
pulses are good. Who's on the planning board now?
What do you have to
It would be the
do?
alternate possibilities.
I don't know all of them.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see if I can find out for you.
I occupy
Uh,
space, I don't.
We
know
have
much about
John
figures.
LaCourse,
Yeah.
Robert Smith,
No,
David
Robert Smith's
Cedarholm.
gone. Bob Smith's gone.
Okay, David Cedarholm, Luann Griswold, Mark Bellevue,
He's the chair now.
Howard Hoff, Wayne Lehman, and Rebecca Hawthorne.
She's a select.
Oh, Rebecca. Yeah, she's the.
For the planning board.
We'll see if anybody on there would be interested.
10:27,
I know Luann probably isn't.
I think they have to appoint somebody. If they show up or not, I don't. So,
Well, I leave
Okay,
that.
no more 10:18.
and I think after that person, I think there's another at-large, somebody from the community, so. We're still running the ads
Yeah.
to see if anybody, and Denise and Andy are strong arming people as they come into the office, so.
That's helpful. We need somebody with arms. We have to still have
Strong
arms
arms.
with them afterwards.
Strong arms.
So the town passed an article to change the CIP because the planning board was doing a bad job at the CIP. And now the planning board is slowing down the progress of the new CIP.
Go figure.
Basically, yeah.
Very astute observation.
You're on that, aren't you?
What?
Planning board? Oh,
It's
no.
Rebecca.
Oh,
Rebecca's the
Oh,
representative
she's
of the
on
planning
that
board,
one.
yeah.
Are we still meeting just ourselves without
Yes.
any witnesses next week, week
Oh,
after that?
No.
No, our next meeting would be the 22nd.
This meeting is just us, it's being recorded, so.
Yeah.
Okay, our next meeting is the 22nd of September?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will scorch all these times I just thought we were
Right.
repeating forever.
We kept trying to schedule and finally came up with these.
Okay, so we have a total of,
How many officers?
We
is
only
he
needed
down in
one
this
initial
department?
meeting. This was 3. You were very good. You kept saying, yep, okay, yep, okay, yep, okay, but
I'm not sure if he's still.
not
have one.
everybody
He
did.
got somebody to come in that was working someplace else.
can I look at your schedule again?
They didn't want to commit
Yeah,
anymore, so
if I'm
now
gonna be
they're
the
more
secretary,
here
I'm
when
gonna
they're
have
closer,
names for all these.
which is kind of like the opposite of what was happening to him, so. But I'm not sure if he's down still one. They're all having problems in terms of, you know.
Everybody's having problems.
And we're getting, what's the word, not scalped, but we're getting hijacked because other places are calling our officers and saying, oh, come work for us for,
Poached.
Oh, yeah,
there you go, that's the word.
yeah.
So, but the chief was just telling me that's what he wanted to talk to me about. 2 people that were leaving and had offers and accepted those, I believe accepted those offers, are
2
now gonna
more?
stay.
Oh,
super.
good.
Yeah, so,
He's been getting poached for years.
2 more though?
so now he's down to
'Cause
5. And we have.
Doty, I mean, that was a.
So we got
That was
another one,
too
a new
bad.
one, don't ask me what he's got a long name, but he was at the meeting last night, and he's going to be doing right along with, I don't remember, we're a training officer, so they're gonna go to the academy, and then there's another lady that is interested, they're still going through the hiring process with her, but they both go to the academy probably in January.
So who else besides Doty that he had to replace? There's two now?
Annie Laff.
Oh, yeah, that was we knew that though,
Yeah,
and that was a
yeah.
while ago. He hadn't gotten someone,
No,
For that,
no,
yeah.
yeah, that's what these
It's
new
a hard
hires are,
time.
so, yeah.
wow.
Mm.
Ugh,
But he'll do what he needs to do, so,
so what can we do to, obviously you've done something, because those two are staying now, so what can we do? Are they offering something more to them, so they stay?
yep.
Okay.
So one of them's getting a take-home car, and they're both getting increases, and also somebody else in the department's getting an increase too, so.
To balance off what they
Yeah.
were gonna.
That's one of the
get
things
for
that
'em.
the board and this committee is gonna look at, because to keep people, we had to give significant salary increases to keep people,
I'm sure.
and that is gonna hit us bad this year. So make sure you have your heart medicine taken and your defibrillators close to you when you look at the numbers when
Yeah.
they come in, so.
The alternative is, I mean, so much
There's
in
nothing
You
you can
do.
do.
training and everything else, yeah, so, I
Yeah.
guess.
Has the Board of Selectmen picked a level for budgeting yet? Have they given us
No,
our
we
budgeting
haven't
numbers?
talked about that yet.
Okay.
No,
What do you want to tell us tonight in terms of where you?
I can answer questions, or I can just tell you the things that are on the top of my head in terms of things that we have to deal with. One of them is the salary thing we just talked about.
Yeah.
Financial planning tool, basically the money we got from the feds for ARPA funds, we've been mostly using for building things. That seemed to be the category that was totally out of whack in terms of needs.
Oh, building stuff.
Yeah, so there's trust funds associated with a lot of, highway department, transfer station and stuff like that. So we didn't purposely do this, but most of the money from the first phase got put to projects like that, like the air handling system in the fire department. The second phase, we've only allocated $180,000 because we got some things from the first round that we're not sure about in terms of costs. James Farm is one of them. So we haven't allocated everything from that, but mostly it's going toward building stuff. There's been so much, I don't want to say delayed, but
Deferred.
yes, well,
Deferred.
I don't know about
maintenance.
purposely deferred, but things that weren't taken care of. Steve's in charge of those particular building things, and he's doing a bang-up job addressing those particular things, but getting those particular things done, so,
The old town hall,
yeah.
the library puts lots of photos on Facebook of events that are held there, the children's program. How much money did we have to put in to get it cleaned up for them to use?
I believe they cleaned it up. One of the things, one of the things that we're doing, and we got some information at the last meeting about utility costs. Most likely, that's one of the things that we're gonna hit them with.
I thought it needed to be like totally redone.
It does, it does.
The pictures look like they painted it and cleaned it, and it looks quite
Yeah.
spiffy.
Town didn't do that, they did that,
What
but,
about all the holes in the floor and all that
Well,
stuff?
you don't see the holes in the floor, you just see the windows in the background and the walls.
So that's,
so.
Well, living in an old house, I can tell you that there's a difference between good enough for some purposes and totally falling apart.
Yeah.
So
okay,
it's not totally falling apart, but it's not good enough for certain purposes.
okay.
So the utilities are one thing we're gonna look at in terms of this budget season, in terms of the added expense for them using that structure. But as you know, it's a town expense, either it comes out of the town or it comes out of the library.
And we give it to the library to pay, so. it
So that's
doesn't-
one of the things we're looking at. The same thing in terms of the annex building.
Yes, I
The
understand.
Historical Society is using that. So there's gonna be some costs that they're gonna cover for using that particular space, so the town will cover the amount of energy, utilities and stuff, just to keep the water from freezing during the wintertime. But anything up above that, in terms of, they're gonna get charged for those particular things. So, financial planning tool, I don't have a copy with me today, but that's something I can get to you. That shows all the particular funds. It's kind of like the CIP, but more than the CIP.
Yeah, okay,
So you can get an idea from that, but that's information you can have.
great.
Oh, town office building, the select people are doing that project all by ourselves with George Tappan's help.
What project, you mean?
We're gonna propose,
To buy it?
no, to build one.
Oh, to
So,
build one. Okay.
so, a couple of things.
When you say you're doing it all by yourself, you don't have
We don't have a committee.
No group.
And no
Okay.
construction manager or anything yet, but that's something we're gonna look into. But we're sitting with John Tappan. Is helping us in terms of layouts and stuff like that. We're getting to a point where we need to engage somebody to help us professionally. The idea is to propose something to the legislative body at the deliberative session. We've got two things going for us, we think. The building that we're in now, we're paying about $60,000 a year for rent. If you put that toward a bond payment, and if you include the money, because the money for the bond for this particular structure drops off this year. So if we are to use both of those funds, we can get about $1.5 million bond without changing the operating budget. Well, technically, that's not true, but the other thing we're looking at, Barrington just did this, and we're finding out more information about it. Barrington submitted to Chris Pappas's office for a community development grant. They requested $500,000 to help them with their town building. Unfortunately for all of us taxpayers, the fund didn't give them $500,000, gave them $1.5 million. So the money that they were going to bond, they don't have to bond as much now. So that particular fund is an annual fund, so our intention is to apply as well and see if we get anything.
What happened to the bond, the grant fund we were proposing for the building renovations? The L-ship,
Oh, yeah, well, you need to have it for a building that is being designated on the historical register or the National Historical Register. So a new building obviously does not qualify. One of the things that we've said is we're gonna see what we can do in terms of cracking this up for an office building. And then after that particular project is done or whatever, we need to look at the town hall. And the elephant in the room is the parish house. What are we doing with that? So
That's what I was gonna ask.
that's the,
Is
it's been
that a
thrown.
possibility? Like redo that whole thing and have that be the,
That's something the Historical Heritage Commission is working on.
be the town hall?
There is money available, $500,000 per project to demolish old buildings. It's a federal thing, I believe. So we can apply for that at some point if we want to get rid of the structure. But the Heritage Commission, I know, is looking into what they can propose. So that's still
where
up
we
in
are
the
with the timeframe with it, didn't we put a timeframe on that?
next July, you can tear it down if everything stands as it is, so.
And that's where the proposed new
It would go in back
building would
of,
go?
it would go in back of it, so you've got the town hall here, the library here, museum, annex, parish house, it would go back here. Probably 100 feet in front of the cemetery that's back there, so it'd be set back from the road. So that's the proposal at the moment. But if that was to pass, we'd do that project and then we push our attentions toward renovating the town hall. The idea would be for the town hall to be the meeting place.
Have a big open space?
On the first floor, we're still discussing in terms of what do we do with the second floor, if anything. There's a member of the select board that would like to tear down the hobo shed and put like a little tower in the back, so there's an elevator place so you can access the second floor. That's something that's been proposed. What else?
What happened
For
to the
handicap, you
asbestos
mean?
issue?
Yeah.
In where?
Town hall.
The asbestos, there's lead paint on the second floor. And also in terms of the tiles in the clerk's office, those have asbestos in it. So that's where
Okay,
there's been a hazardous materials study done by Desmarais Environmental, so we have that information. Also, just as an FYI, on the parish house, that front porch, there's some, it's not caulking, but it's like sealant stuff. That is hazardous materials, and also around the chimney on the roof is hazardous materials, so.
no good news in my bill, is there?
Let me see what else.
I'd have to get rid of all that, huh?
Well, if you tear down the parish house, you have to have the environmental study so the people that are tearing down understand what is there so they can take it appropriately.
Mhm.
It's not like they're gonna do something special with that. They're all gonna put it in a dumpster and just take it off someplace.
Right.
So, but you have to identify it so they can
So they
deal with that
know.
particular thing, yeah.
I thought the last time we talked about the parish house, there was a strong interest in preserving it.
I know, that's
Yeah,
what
there-
I was wondering.
there-
But now
There
we're tearing
is.
it down, it's.
Well, one particular person on the select board is interested in getting rid of it. She says you can't keep all the old buildings around, so, but that's her choice. I think the Heritage Commission is aiming for two things. One, possibility of renovating it and attaching a structure in the back of it, like a large gymnasium, and turn that into like a community center, recreational center, with like rooms in it, so you could have like, you know, finger painting classes or, you know, yoga classes. The
Cub
thing that,
Scouts, whatever.
yep, the thing you can't, that we don't have is, you know, we offer Oyster River Youth and things for the little kids, but we don't do too much for the middle and the older people. We have some things at the library, but if you had one of those particular centers, you could do all kinds of
The
programming and stuff.
gym and stuff, that would be.
The thing is, there's money out there, grant money for community centers. And also in terms of the parish house is one of the 7 to save from, what, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
There's money to renovate that. So I don't know how much it would cost to do all that, but you could get part of that particular expense funded by external sources. So that's a possibility. So, and the other thing you could do, one of the things that Court's brought up, he's doing some investigation, is if we were to implement in-town zoning, you could take a parcel, a piece of that particular property and cut it off, basically, and sell that particular property so somebody else can, you know, deal with the renovation and stuff like that. So that's something that. I know
Just think about how much the housing prices are now.
Yeah,
And
so,
if you could have that house in the middle of town with some easement from the church that says you guarantee that I have access to my driveway or the little pad
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
I mean, seems like, I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but even discounted for that, someone who's willing to take on a project could
yeah,
have a $600,000 house. I mean, looking at the prices around me, like, they're
Oh, yeah.
expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So the town would have to sell it at a discount because it needs a bunch of work. It needs a septic tank, you'd have to negotiate where to put another well, we talked about all these
Yeah.
implementation issues. But I would think you just cut that off, put
Yeah.
$300,000 in the town coffers and put that into other buildings.
Yeah.
I at least want to provide that as a, I think the worst outcome is whether we use town dollars or federal dollars, burning up tax money to turn an asset into a scab, you know,
Yeah.
a soil spot at the corner of a property, or you say, well, why wouldn't we just turn that into money? And does the town need, like, I don't know, I haven't been involved in the latest round of town center discussions, but does the town need every single,
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I
hectare
thought we
over
got
there,
it.
every acre?
To begin with, like, yeah, that's why I thought we got it, so we could do the town hall and all that.
Oh, yeah, I know, but
You're
just
saying
looking at
we don't
the,
really need it all.
well, looking at the plans in the past, I don't know, because there's a million people weighing on it, the whole town center thing was just really exhausting to be involved in, because everybody says that every idea that you spend all your time on is bad. So, you just, okay. Do you have a better idea? No, I just know that you're wrong.
That was pretty much it.
But one of the things that we heard a lot of was there's a whole heck of a lot of parking, this is a lot of space, so on. So I don't know, because I haven't gone to the select board meetings where they discussed whatever's going on now, but maybe you wouldn't need to use all of that land.
Okay.
And you could reclaim a little bit of it in cash and still preserve that building. Otherwise, I think just tear it down, put up a mall or something in the building and
Mall.
just say, well,
Oh, yeah, malls
just
are
a-
Another Dollar General.
Lee Town
yeah,
Mall.
Dollar General. We don't have a Target close enough, so we could do that.
Couple of other things, personnel-wise, we talked about the finance officers retiring in December. Looking at a couple of different things to do. One, hire a finance officer to replace this particular person. The other, option number two is different towns that, I guess, the software package we bought in 2014 is not very friendly. So Andy is proposing that we go with a firm that is contract services, and a whole bunch, not a whole bunch, some towns use it. Deerfield, from where he comes from, uses it. But you get a contract person, you use their particular software. Upfront cost is about $50,000, which is about what we spent for Tyler 8 years ago. But then you'd have that professional person, contract services, coming in for about 32 hours a week. And then they would hire a bookkeeper, not a finance officer, so lesser. He's looking in terms of replacing finance officers. There's a lot of open positions out there, and they're in the 70s to 80s to 100s. They're very expensive. So he's saying, well, if we did the contract services and we hired a bookkeeper to do the stuff that's in town, then you're into the 40s and 50s.
You're gonna pay the bookkeeper almost what you used to pay the finance officer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that-
not need a finance officer, because it was,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's one of the things, and
Just send it all
I
in.
touched on it before. In this particular COVID employer not friendly kind of environment, we are having to increase people's pay significantly.
You're talking about a contract for someone to be a bookkeeper for $40,000 to $50,000.
No, an
Yeah.
employee to be a bookkeeper, but then this contracted services come with the software, but a professional CPA kind of person that kind of does all of our books and stuff. The bookkeeper would basically get in all the invoices and stuff, scan them, put them into the system,
Okay.
and just deal with the people here in terms of, you're gonna fill out this expense voucher, you need to do this, those kind of things.
Scott, what, does a contract services person, is that included in the 50 grand up front, or is there an annual cost for that as well?
There's an annual cost for that. So I don't have that particular number right now. Andy's supposed to be doing an analysis for us. Basically, this is what it costs us to do finances now. This is what I'm proposing, and this is what I'm proposing for this contract services.
Is Liz Stone still doing some of the supporting?
So there's one FTE that is the finance officer, and 0.5 FTE that is the accounting assistant, which is Liz.
Okay.
Linda is indicated she's retiring in March. She's not running again. It's been told to us that Liz is going to run, so she would be the town clerk. She would hire somebody to be the assistant, deputy. So in this second scenario with contract service bookkeeper, there would not be another 0.5 FTE, so
The
that would go.
contracted services person works for the software company, not for us, so we don't have to
Correct.
pay their benefits.
Right.
Do you know what the company's called that he's thinking
Not
about?
off the top of my head, no. Deerfield has them.
What's the name of the company?
I don't think I have the paperwork of what. No, I don't
My
have the
firm does
paperwork.
it, we don't do very much municipal work, I think the stuff we do is all in Maine, but I don't think it.
This one's out of Meredith. If you look in Meredith for, so,
Out of Meredith, New Hampshire?
yep.
Huh.
So, what was I gonna say? Another thing we're looking at is in terms of, we found a major reason why the police department, but more so the fire department people are leaving, is because we do not have a STEP program. They like the idea of, okay, in 5 years, I know I can be making this. So that's something we're looking at. We've got one in place for the fire department now, but they don't particularly like it. So that's something we're looking at. And also in terms of doing the same thing for the police department, but also doing it for everybody else too. If you're gonna do it for one or two departments, you need to do it for everybody. But of course, that's extra expenses.
Getting back to the accounting
Go ahead.
package, has Andy been working with that for a while? Was-
No, since last, fall?
No, but I mean, has the one that Deerfield uses?
Oh, yeah, they've had them for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. And he contacted the town administrator in Deerfield, he knows him well, he used to be the chair of the board of selectmen, so. But they're still using them and they like them. He got an idea in terms of how many hours Deerfield uses, so.
Okay.
Is there anything else we can outsource?
ABC, you can also.
So like by the police force or anything like that?
No.
We outsource ABC, we're not saving any money, like, we're all.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Yeah, right.
What's that, $100 a
$100.
piece? Public Works.
$600.
Does he want people?
No, but one of the things the board's talked about is getting him a halftime person.
We talked about
Yeah,
that
how
last
was,
year.
I thought we did that.
No, we didn't.
You didn't?
No.
So
They
Steve is
didn't.
It
still,
wasn't in the budget. No.
They did, we did, they didn't.
Yes.
so Steve is still
Yep.
pulling his hair out and
Yep.
going to
Steve's-
leave.
Steve's over, no, he's not leaving, but he's over.
How do you know?
Well, we talked.
Have you talked to him?
We talked.
And convinced him to stay? Because I talked to him too and he wasn't, so.
Well, he's happy, he's not happy about certain things, so I think we're trying to adjust those certain
Okay.
things. But yeah, getting him some assistance to do the administrative stuff.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we way overwork him.
Like,
Yeah,
Can he, I mean, some of the stuff that we mentioned was stuff like just processing payroll.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Isn't that something that
someone can take
Yeah.
over.
can be outsourced as well? Like, there doesn't have to be a town employee
One
to
of-
take
one of-
hours and turn on a
yeah,
payroll.
one of the things that, if we go with this contracted accounting services, one of the things we would get is electronic payroll.
Sweet.
So that employees and/or supervisors will put in their payroll electronically, no paper. It goes through and get processed in the system. Kind of unique, huh, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, Steve could have old school punch cards
Imagine
over there,
that.
just at the end of the week, say, he worked 8, he worked 6, whatever, you know, put in.
Yeah, we do the electronic thing, so that's one of the things that comes with this contracted services, so.
Yeah,
so that will help him for that
Yep.
little bit of
Yep.
They
whatever.
use a payroll service, the town uses a service, don't they? Is Joanne doing everything?
Joanne's using it through Tyler, so she does all that stuff, so.
She does the payroll.
So,
And Steve has to do it for
I know,
Public
Steve
Works
does,
and the
transfer.
transfer station,
And
and get it all over to her, and
Don't
then,
forget
Fire
the
department.
building maintenance.
oh, in the
people.
building,
Maintenance,
yeah.
so-
And then the fire department, and the police department, I mean, they're
Yep.
doing their own stuff too.
Yep, so that's one of the lures of that particular proposal is we get all those particular things. The other thing is, I believe it has the ability to take credit card payments for different things. That's one of the big things that we have a problem in terms of transfer station, that Steve takes a long time reconciling cash to the tickets and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, so.
Oh.
that
So,
would be great, then just say, credit card only.
I've
Well-
never understood why the town didn't outsource payroll anyway. It's like the no-brainer of the world.
Yeah, for,
well,
further
we
down.
have this
for-
firm do it.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah. That would
I
make
always
sense.
whenever I have to take anything over there, I have to go to my wife and say, do you have 5s or 10s or
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah,
Because I have like, you know, I don't have the right bills, and you don't wanna go over there, oh, I
I know.
have $5 of bulk waste, here's a 20.
Oh,
I guess
That's what I do all the time. I'm like, write it down, you owe me 15.
Give them a
And
square,
then I
so
go
they
the
just
next
like
time, I'm
cards
like,
up
I have a
or
credit for
something.
Yeah,
15.
that's what I'm saying, it would be very nice, and then nobody's
Yeah.
touching any cash. and-
Right.
It would
So
be
in terms of
very
new
nice.
positions, who wants new positions?
Well, I think the board's pushing for this part-time assistant for Steve. I don't think
That
anybody
would be
else
good.
is pushing for anything at the moment, not that I've heard of.
Police and fire should be good
Well,
right now.
Oh,
I mean, they
police-
just need to hire the people.
Police is down 3 people,
Well,
so.
because they,
That's not a budget issue, that's a
Right.
hiring
it's,
issue.
yeah, they're already in,
Selectman's office,
they're gonna hire them.
the only thing we got new in there is the IT committee. I'm not sure if they're gonna have anything to present, but they're on the list.
Why are the police down 3 people? I thought you said that those 2 people are gonna stay, and they have
They'd
to
be down
replace the
5
one.
people if they,
They're down 3 people.
they'd
Really?
have 3 people without considering those 2.
So,
Really? They would have lost
5.
5? Holy
they only had
cow.
8.
I know. So they would only have 3 people
They're 3
On?
gone, yeah, well,
On.
they lost the other lady that had issues.
The lady, yeah.
You know, I'm gonna say her name, but
I didn't
they had a
get
police officer
details,
that
I
had
just,
some
yeah.
Issues.
issues.
That's okay.
We'll leave it at issues.
Issues is fine.
So she was gone and he was having a hard time replacing her position, so she's another one. And then Annie and Dodie left.
Dodie.
So that's
So
your
there's
two.
3, and then the
Yeah.
other ones he was talking about are on top of that, aren't they?
Yeah, the 2 that
Yeah,
So,
we're gonna leave.
right
but
now,
came
we're
back.
hiring for 3,
yeah.
Yep,
and he got,
one,
he's got
and he's
one,
got another lady in the hiring process.
yeah.
How has that affected their current, the current fiscal year's budget? Has he just had to pay out a ton of OT to cover the shifts?
He's had to pay some, but
And
those
he's
particular
working,
salaries
too.
are way more than that, so
Yeah, but so they're also just basically short. They're
Yeah.
just,
they're short
And
staffed.
that's why he's doing shifts.
And he's doing shifts,
Yeah. And he's
normal shifts
I
that
mean,
he.
the good news is that there's a little bit of savings.
just-
Right. Well,
Yeah, that's the-
mostly,
that's the
saving a lot on
good news.
benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the other thing is, he's buying 2
Trying to find
cruisers,
silver linings here.
one out of the special duty fund and one out of his budget. He's had a hard time, he was authorized one last year, but he couldn't find them, they're just not out there. He found one, or excuse me, 2,
Oh,
in
jeez.
Bridgeton,
He's a
Maine.
Freaking chicken thing.
So it's like, what, an hour and something away?
Oh, it's really bad.
They're 2022s, but they're Chargers, but he just can't, nobody's got them.
Yeah.
So
Nobody's got any.
we gave him authorization to, the one out of his budget he can just do. But we gave him permission to buy the other one out of special duty. So I'm not sure if he's gonna come in with a request for a car in his budget this year or not. I don't know if he will. I don't think he will, but.
To replace ones that need to be replaced?
Yeah, so
Or- yeah.
I don't think he will, but I don't know. So that's $40,000-$50,000 there. So,
Any guesses what the library's up to?
no, library's been very quiet.
I haven't even met the new director, how is she?
She's very nice. I like her.
But weren't they in the middle of getting plans drawn up to do all?
Yes, I am not the official on that particular thing. John Tappan attends every single one of their meetings.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, so gives us feedback. But they're engaged in doing their renovations internally. So that's about all I know.
Okay, but they're not gonna come to us for,
I don't know what they're gonna come to. But they're staying inside their walls.
Their normal budget.
The other thing is, the library, one of the things that we've kind of allocated money for, Steve did an analysis of the paint on the outside, and it's got some lead in it, but he can take care of that. But in the process of checking that out, the external part of the front part of the library, the old section, is basically falling apart.
yeah, this was last year we knew about that.
Yeah, so he still hasn't done that yet, but that's in the process, but also, after he fixes those particular things, he needs to be repainted again. So we've assigned some money for those particular projects. We're trying to coordinate those items with what the library is doing internally, because that front section, it's not insulated. So, part
It's
of the
not
library.
insulated?
No.
My house
Why-
isn't
Why would you
insulated.
insulate? It's
Not at
building-
all?
No.
It's a building from 1890s, so,
But
but,
to insulate stuff like that, you do,
You have
I mean,
to
sometimes
blow
you
it
have to
in.
work on the outside and the inside.
well,
You can blow stuff in, but,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
if you don't have a moisture barrier, and then there's plaster walls on the inside, and,
so the
Yeah.
library's project
Side.
pulls out the interior walls and insulates it, and then puts them back again. So we said, well, we gotta take off the outside walls anyways. So
Yeah.
we're trying to see if, well, really, it's Steve's trying to coordinate that so we don't double up. There's no sense taking off, so,
If the only
Hopefully
reason
we
to
can-
take off one set of walls is that it's like, then you're
It's
not-
just that it's that old that they didn't insulate back then?
no, there's
Is
probably
that-
some corn cobs in there or something like that, but
Huh.
there's no
Something
insulation.
highly flammable.
Yeah,
Bookstore
so,
building looks nice.
yep.
oh,
Building looks nice.
They
Yeah.
didn't stick anything.
thank you, we're gonna be having a tent sale soon.
Oh.
And I shouldn't use this meeting for that purpose.
It's a promotion. Cemetery trustees are requesting a special revolving fund. We come to find out that so far, Andy's research has shown that they can't have one. So one of the things we might see from the trustees of the cemetery is a higher budget request, so that their particular budget covers all the expenses for interments and all the expenses that deal with that. And then, just as it does now, all those particular revenues go into the general fund. So you might be seeing, instead of the cemetery trustees asking for 8,000, they might be asking for 20,000, 30,000. So,
Okay,
What was why did they want to have a special revolving fund?
because right now, all those expenses for interments come out of the highway department, and that's not really, and we know why they came out of there, because the superintendent of the cemeteries used to work there. Then,
Yeah,
so,
Okay.
so I'm not sure what they're gonna come and ask for, but the idea was for, because cost for interments have gone up significantly. We just allowed them to raise the rates. There's the rates someplace here. But we're still low compared to other towns. So as of October 1st, I have to tell you what the word for. So a single gravesite is going from $400 to $500. Placing a private cemetery into a trust is remaining the same at $2,000. Interments are going from weekdays from $800 to $1,000. Saturdays are for $850 to $1,200. Sundays are from $1,000 to $1,500. So don't bury your loved ones on the weekend. Save yourself some money. But
Because Pete has to go and
the thing
do
is,
it on a weekend.
those particular expenses, so what happens is they incur the cost for getting somebody here to do the interments, digging the hole and then filling it in. That comes out of the highway department, but then when the family or whoever's doing the funeral pays, that money goes into the general fund. So what the cemetery trustees want to do is
Oh, okay.
keep those funds where there's, the expenses where they're supposed to be, not in the highway department, so.
Did that have cremation?
Yeah, cremation, oh, sorry, I didn't do cremations.
Yeah. was gonna say,
Cremations
'cause
are
it's-
going weekdays from 200 to 300 and weekends from 300 to 500.
Okay.
And there's other various expenses, you know, if you want non-standard size cremation involved, there's an extra charge for that, so.
they can't have a fund that's funded by their fees and where their
Yeah.
expenses are taken out of the same fund. It has to go
Yeah.
out from a budget and into the general fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
he's looking at other ways to do it, but they requested a revolving fund, just like the Recreation Commission has. But the RSAs don't allow us to do one for the cemetery.
So we can, in the accounting, we can keep track of the cemetery brought in X and therefore it
Yeah,
should be paid out Y and,
yeah.
so
just-
something similar to X.
Just from our point of view, like I said, previous years, they're like $7,000, you're gonna see a lot more being requested.
So will
Okay.
that mean that the highway department will be down by the amount that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, so they should not be.
So come out of that.
So,
Okay. Okay.
so, trying to think of anything else.
How about all the other things like the school and the county and all that? Have you got any?
Went to the school dedication ceremony today.
How was
It was spectacular. Very nice. I wanna go there and just live, cause
It is
Because
really
it's
nice to
that
be there every
nice.
time.
it's that nice.
Have you been in?
Yeah, yeah.
I had, they had a performance by Andrew Wu. This kid is probably 12 or 13. He is excellent. He did 3 songs on the grand piano. Oh my God. With his family, I was sitting up next to his family was like beaming. And he was very good. But they had the middle school orchestra or band playing too. They were very good too, so. But it was a very nice place. So about probably 80, 90 people showed up.
Good.
It was a good crowd.
This was in the
Is there
new
ribbon cutting for
auditorium
the
or
school
whatever?
today?
The concert was in the auditorium, yes, but the presentation was out in the center, where the Oyster River is on the tile. I don't, have you seen that?
I haven't been in, no.
They're
I
gonna
would
start
like
using
to
it
go
next
see it.
month, right? They're gonna have kids in it this year, right?
Yeah.
I
I think they already,
Can't turn the other one down, I
You're
just
right.
said.
don't they already
There were
have,
kids
they're
in it
already
last
in
year.
there?
Yeah,
There were
Yeah.
kids in it last year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
but if you go in the front.
partway through.
If you go in the front door, there's an entryway with lots of security, but when you get into the big kind of atrium, look on the floor because there's blue and different colored tiles,
mhm.
and it
That's the
replicates
river?
the Oyster River.
Oh,
And
wow.
we also had a dedication from the chief of the Abenaki Pentecook Indian tribe, because they were consulted, because when you go in, there's Abenaki, Pennacook words on the side with translation of what they mean. It's pretty cool. And all the stairwells are color-coded. I forget what purple is, probably the mountains, but there's purple, I believe it's the mountains, light blue for the ponds and rivers, dark blue for the sea, and then green for the forests and stuff like that. So each stairwell has a theme, and all the classrooms have themes too. And if you go in the front door, there's a big screen TV, and it talks about, you can press the button, it doesn't all work, how much electrical usage it's using, because this particular building is supposed to be LEED Gold.
Really?
So it has net positive, so they are producing more energy than they'll be using.
Fabulous.
Because of
Except
the
the,
panels on
yeah, and also in terms of they use the heat pumps. There's
Oh, yeah.
like 74, 500 foot.
the
Wells.
geothermal
Yeah.
heat pumps.
So, but the solar array is producing more electricity than they use. But the application from Siemens was not working today, so we couldn't find out exactly what it was. But talking to the administrators, it's like they cover the basics. What's gonna kill them is they have to kind of level out the peak. The peak is not covered in terms of the peak usage.
Yeah.
So they have to see what they can do to kind of level out so that the peak is not that high, so they're not paying too much, so.
Do we know anything about the school district
No.
budget?
They will come later this fall and tell us what their
No.
thoughts are,
It's
so.
gonna be high, Pat, it's gonna be high.
I was
Yeah,
thinking about this
Never goes down.
gold certified LEED building, and,
Yeah.
and LEED will be lucky if we get to put our town employees into a glorified shed by the time we're done.
I know.
You know, we initially we brought in these consultants, oh, do you wanna do this certification? Well, how much will that be? Well, it'll just be, $4 million for a building, okay. No,
Whatever happened to solar in Lee?
we're still working on it. We're fighting with the revision legal department. There's things that our lawyer says, nope, can't be in there, and revision says, yep, they're gonna be in there, so they're doing this back and forth. So our lawyer
They can't agree
has
on something?
spoken to them, they have not got back to him.
So where would it
It
be?
would go on the roof of the transfer station.
Oh,
They've done a trust structural analysis, and it will take the weight of those particular things. So we're in the process of doing that,
Instead
but
of that
it's a
array.
legal thing at the moment, so.
so would that provide just
Odd.
power for there, or would there be more power?
If they produce extra, of which I think they would, but we don't own it until, because the investors own it at the moment, so we're guaranteed a certain particular rate. After that, we can buy them out, choose to buy them out or not. But then, yeah, if they're producing more electricity, as long as they're on the same provider, that's co-op, I
That's
believe.
the co-op over there, yeah.
So this particular building is Eversource, so it would have to be like the highway garage or something like that, something. so.
We're on Eversource.
Yeah.
Is that building the one that uses the most power? I
No.
thought this one
This
does.
one does.
So why wouldn't we do something for
The
this
roof.
building instead of over there?
We would put it on the roof.
Not on the
Except
roof.
that changed, but we were gonna put it out here, but the thing
Yeah,
is.
array, or pods, or
Yeah,
whatever.
and their estimate was that we would make $1,000 a year. And then John Tappan talked to us about that he was very skeptical that that was even more than he thinks, because you gotta consider in terms of the peaks and the valleys. And he was very skeptical, so the board said, nope, not worth it, let's not do it, so we didn't do it. This particular one,
It would pay for all the power and you would make $1,000 a year?
and he was skeptical in terms of that, hopefully they're not watching this, but when companies come in to do that, they give you the best optimum
Yeah.
in terms
Yeah.
of numbers. But the thing is, cloudy days don't get any
Well,
power.
you never know. Yeah.
So, they do an average.
Winter, it's,
Yep, so, and the thing is, when's your peak usage during the week? When people are here. And it's not on the weekends usually. Well, you've got fire department and police department people here, but that doesn't even out. It's like I was talking about the school. They gotta reduce the peaks. And they don't necessarily do the right analysis, because they don't do it hour by hour, they do it for a day.
So it wasn't going to be enough of a benefit to
No.
be cost effective?
No.
Because the roof on this building is a brand new, so you've got the whole issue of do you want to put panels on?
Well,
it?
the big thing I had,
Years old.
back then, the panels on the roof could not be shut off. So if there was a fire in this structure, the fire department couldn't cut off those panels because it becomes a safety issue for firefighters, and there's live power coming through those particular things. I'm told now the panels have shut-offs automatically.
Yeah.
So they shut off automatically, so that was one of the things that I was being very particular about, because if you've got a fire in this building, then nobody's gonna wanna fight it, because they're gonna get
That
electrocuted.
wasn't it,
Well, isn't the roof
yeah. My
20 years
panels
old?
have a
Yep.
big thing, you
It's,
just
Well,
pull down.
the building was
shuts it
built
off.
in 2002, 2003,
So the
so,
roof's 20 years old, you'd have to
Yeah.
think about whether or not you want to put
Yeah,
panels on
that's
a
the
20-year-old
cost.
roof.
so let's say, your roof's there for 30, 35 years, you gotta physically take off the panels, so you're not getting power. Take off the old roof, put on the new roof, put on the panels again, there's an expense to that,
What
so.
about the
That was all in my contract when I got it on my house.
the dump? The
Transfer station, yeah, that roof is like 80 years, it's all steel, it's all
Oh, okay,
metal.
so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll all be dead and gone by the time that needs to be
Needs to
replaced.
do, yeah, need to do that.
I'll be cryogenically frozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be in the critter pit in the bottom of that barn, I think that's,
I filled in that pit, Scott.
oh, okay.
That pit is no more.
When I'm trying to think of something else.
That was the cistern that used to defend this town from fire.
Your basement?
That's what it was, the pit.
The barn had a large concrete cistern
Oh,
underneath
okay.
one corner of it, and pipes from the gutters, there used to be gutters that fed into that.
Mm-hmm.
And when they had a wagon that they pulled, it was pulled out of that barn with water that they pumped out of that cistern.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I filled it in with rocks after a fox almost died down there, so. But it still exists. If you pull up the floorboards, you can see a concrete circle. And think about Lee's illustrious history.
You guys have other questions? I can't think of anything else.
How is fire done over the last year on employees? Are they down?
Yeah, they had a problem in terms of keeping employees and then finding employees.
Well, they hired my neighbor,
Is that the guy that works someplace else?
Kyle. I
He
cannot
might
recall
be.
his last name.
Which
Yeah.
neighbor is it for you?
The yellow house across the street.
The one that cut down the big tree right out front?
They cut down the big trees,
Yeah.
yeah, the yellow house with the fence that's on the funny
Yeah.
little triangle lot.
Got it.
Oh, is that what we asked for?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the same guy, but the chief was very happy. He came in one night and there was a gentleman that either was moving to town or thinking of moving to town. And he's a firefighter in another town and says, hey, you got any openings? And chief says, oh, yeah. So I believe it was already started for us, so I don't know if it's the same guy, but
Nice.
chief's been having a hard time keeping people because
He's gonna be pretty quick to get to the station.
that's good.
You know.
That's good, but he's been having a hard time because all these other towns are poaching
Yeah.
all of our employees, and it's not like that has never happened
Dover
before.
and,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's always
Yeah,
happened.
so, but the thing
but
is,
not at this rate.
well, they're desperate, like Durham's down a whole bunch of officers.
Yeah.
But, when you've got somebody here that's really good, I don't, what's the word? Begrudge them.
Mhm.
They go someplace else to earn more money. We've lost people to Dover, we've lost people to Durham, Portsmouth.
Yeah,
Those are
Some of
bigger
it's
towns
money,
like
some of it's
Portsmouth.
activity level.
Rochester, actually.
Yeah.
It's not, it
He had,
doesn't.
I
this
don't
is
remember who it was,
big
but
time.
I seem to remember he had somebody that's like, it was
We
too
need more
boring here.
fires.
Yeah.
They wanted more.
They wanted
And I
more
Activity, that's the thing with all the firefighters, they
Well,
want
the
to see
thing
more
is-
activity.
He had one person, this was years ago, the guy, I think it was a guy, must have been a guy, that he says, all you have is motor accidents, where's all the fires? I became a firefighter, not a motor accident person. And he was just bored of going to traffic accidents, he wanted the fires, and I was like, ooh, you gotta watch out for that guy.
It's the whole attitude,
Fires.
Yeah.
it's like the attitude of a lot of them.
But if you
because,
look at
yeah,
our
that's
town,
what they're
in
trained
terms
for.
of its statistics, there's not many structure fires,
No.
but we've got Route 4 and Route 125, and there's
Right,
lots of accidents.
They do some
Thank God there are
mutual
people like
aid
that. I'm not
fires and.
gonna be the first to run into a burning building. You know, I wish I were
I'm
a
not-
brave, cool guy.
I'd be like George Costanza, like, get out of my way.
Pushing the
Yeah,
children. Yeah. I may not be that bad. I think I might hold a door, usher the kids out. Just don't know about running in.
Conservation Commission, I know they're working on their budget next week, budget requests, so I'm not sure what they're looking at. Heritage Commission, I don't think they're gonna ask for any more money. I put them on here, but I don't think so. Rec Commission, I'm not sure about their request. Larry's no longer their chair. I don't know if it's Kurt.
Is he still on the committee?
No,
No.
no. Sustainability, I'm not sure. I saw Paul today, but I didn't talk to him about that. Energy Committee, I'm not sure. Ag Commission, I'm not sure either. And I'm not sure with the town clerk, tax collector, with Linda leaving, I don't know if she'll come with Liz and they'll both talk to us. I'm not sure, so.
Well, she needs a deputy right away, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah, so would
Um,
Linda possibly consider filling in?
I don't know, I don't think so. I don't. See, the thing is, the deputy has to, I believe, live in town. The assistant can live anyplace.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure about that.
So
Selectmen's
the
budget,
deputy town clerk, is that an appointed position?
they work for the selectman's office, but they're under her supervision, the
So
town
yes,
clerk.
it's a town position, a
Yeah.
town appointment.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's not elected.
but an assistant is just a town hire.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
somebody you hire.
Okay,
There's different qualifications, like the assistant can't do what the town clerk, tax collector can do.
But the deputy
Deputy is a replacement.
is a what?
They can do everything the town clerk and tax
So
collector,
who's the deputy at the moment?
it's Liz.
Was,
But Liz is also the assistant.
No, Liz is the deputy.
Okay, so
There
we
is no
don't have
assistant.
there is no assistant at the moment, okay.
So let's say, for instance, there's a town clerk, tax collector, and there's an assistant. If the town clerk, tax collector is not there, the assistant can't do anything, it's my understanding. Because they don't have the same credentials, if you will, because you have to go to class.
I know, it's a
Yeah.
tech.
Yeah, so,
I wonder if Linda would be willing to be the deputy until they found somebody, because
I don't
that
know.
puts Liz in a,
well, that's a question that we can ask them when they come.
Yeah.
So, and they've already talked about all this, so they've kind of
I
planned it.
think that was, I thought I had heard that that was the plan.
I thought
Liz
so
was-
too, but I thought.
That Linda
yeah,
was gonna do that.
I thought so too, but
Can't answer that
that was a
question.
while ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, yeah.
How about legal stuff?
Who knows now?
Our legal budget is down. I send you the expenses, and I'm a little bit frustrated with the administration because I've asked numerous times for the revenue. So I got sent the revenue, but it was just the revenue receipts, no budget. I said, how can I tell, because I say all the time, you know, how are we doing budget
Yeah.
for expenses, so you figure out, right now it's 183,000. We're in the black. Oh, I didn't bring it. But I sent it to you guys anyways, 183,000, but I said I wanted to do the same thing with the revenue side, so
We've been
they
talking
sent me
about
the
that.
revenue, but it was just how much they brought in. There's no budget. So I said, I need the budget. Well, why? And I said, so I can see how we did against the budget. Do we have, you know, more revenue than we anticipated? Because that's what the tax rate is based on, or less. So they're going back and doing that. So I don't know
So we
how
don't
you,
ever discuss the revenue,
well, I like to see it.
I know.
I wanna see it.
And I
I'd like to
I
see
forward
you-
everything that I get that's finance stuff to you guys anyway, so hopefully you guys appreciate that, but I need to see what the budget is versus how much we brought in, so I can see.
But the legal's down.
Legals, yeah, we haven't spent too much in terms of legal. One thing we're gonna get hit with is, the Fairpoint thing.
That's still going on.
Yeah. As far as, I haven't signed anything to spend, it's like 200,000. But they're splitting it over multiple years, so but that's coming out of the unassigned fund balance, so. But that's why I wanna know how much the budget is, because usually we dump about 200 to 300,000. I think it's gonna be a little bit less this year. But we'll see. see. But when I get that information, I'll forward it to you all, so.
So in terms of what the select board would be bringing forward a proposal to the legislative body about the town hall this year?
Yep, so there will be our plan is to do a bond hearing, and we should have some information in terms of, we will have information in terms of what the structure would look like, how much the cost would be, and also in terms of how we would propose to pay for it.
Where would it be put?
Right, don't you
Behind
remember the hand? Come on.
Yes, oh, would it, the same,
Behind the,
Yeah,
the same place?
yeah, basically the same place, because the idea would be that that particular structure would need parking. And when you get to doing the renovation of the town hall, you need parking, so if people could use the same parking, or a combination of those particular spaces. Because if you're having, that particular meeting room, I think was 90. Don't tap me with know the numbers, but in terms of that finished meeting room in the bottom, the first floor of the old town hall, let's say 90 people decide to go there, you need like 90 spaces. So there's no sense having 90 spaces for the library and the renovated town hall and then have, 30 spaces. You just use the same things, because when you're having meetings, most likely nobody's gonna be at the town offices, so.
So I'm a person that hasn't been listening to it, that doesn't sit around this table, and you guys wanna do a town, how's this project differ from the last time we saw it?
It's just that particular structure,
Just that building?
just that building.
Significantly
Then
less money.
Get that past us, and the idea would be to, based on the rates that John's been checking out in terms of the bond bank and stuff, if we use the 60,000 from rent from the Daily building and the 60,000 that's not gonna be spent for this building, 120,000 a year would get you about a $1.5 million bond. And we're thinking that that particular structure is gonna be probably just a little bit more than that. But we haven't got numbers yet, so don't. But additionally, looking at this community development grant, if we can get some money from that, so we'll see. There was 300 entries for that particular fund, and they funded 10. And the strange thing is, Barrington only asked for $500,000, but they got 1.5. We still can't figure that out. Why did the people do that? So, but that's through Chris Pappas's office. You can basically go through any of the two senators or our representative's office to access those particular funds or apply for those particular funds. So hopefully, if we get something, the bond will not be 1.5 or whatever it is, it'll probably be less. So the warrant article will probably say bond up to something.
Yeah.
And that I'll give the selectmen permission to accept any grants or anything like that to fund the particular project. So if we do get something, we can use that money for that particular purpose, so. That's the plan. What happens, we will see. But it's like, we gotta get past this particular thing. And I think,
Yeah.
if that project gets moving, I think then our focus would change to fixing the infrastructure with the library and with the town hall, renovating the town hall, so.
What's up with the new fire truck? Is it ever gonna go into service?
They're missing
have it?
something.
Oh, we've had it for
Yeah.
a month?
yeah, it's
Really?
been, they brought it to different places, I thought they were
Come to
using
ice
it.
cream at the
No,
park.
it's not in
I was
service.
there
They're not
Yeah.
using it?
They're missing
They're
something.
missing parts. I was
Yeah.
talking to the guys at the car races. It's missing parts, it's not in service.
There's like supply chain issues with wherever it is, so.
So it was delivered and they
I think it's
figured as
just
soon as they
minor
got the
stuff like
parts,
their
they-
breathing apparatus.
Well, the
Oh,
thing is,
okay.
it's not parts by now, so.
That's
It's
fine.
significant
then they'll put
parts,
it
but
on as soon as they get
Yeah,
it.
well, they're still using the old one, so.
Oh, yeah, they still have the old one.
But this one's super duper better.
I saw
they
that
can't do
they,
anything with it though, right?
I think they drive it around, because people
Yeah.
need to get
they went to
comfortable
some
with it.
event, I saw it, they were parked in front of the,
Yeah, but they can't use it,
Yeah.
but they
that's
can
what I
drive it, because the chief requires them to drive, I don't remember how many hours,
yeah,
so that
thought. They
they're
take it to the,
comfortable.
they take
hours.
it back and down
once a month or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or the Market Basket, I see them there all the
Or
time in
to-
Market Basket, getting lunch.
Yes.
Events
Yes.
or whatever, that, yeah.
Because I was talking to the guys at the racetrack, because I sit on the bumper of the fire truck.
I don't know all of them, but I've seen them before, I couldn't put names on, but there was 3 of them, they're getting lunch, so they're at the Market Basket
Yeah.
delicatessen, if you will. So I'm talking to them and saying blah, 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 blah. So I get in line and she's checking out my stuff, and then there's an older gentleman that gets in line in back of me. He's got like half a dozen items, not very much. And the 3 firefighters come in line. So I just, what did you get? I'm having conversations with them, and of course the guy sees them in their uniforms. And I'm getting ready to pay, and the gentleman says to the cashier, "I'm paying for theirs too." And there was this whole big, I won't say an argument, but no, we'll pay for our own. No, I insist on paying for yours. No, that's okay. Back and forth. And of course the cashier's sitting there like, what the heck am I supposed to do? So at that point I said, okay, and I just left. But he wanted to do something nice for them,
And they didn't wanna, yeah.
so I don't know.
Is
They
there
were being nice
something
about it.
that
There was
they're
no,
not
Dunkin's.
supposed to?
they do.
Happens at Dunkin's, people at strangers.
That's why when,
Strangers
like,
buy me coffee, I don't know.
When I do it,
I do it
you
for
can
Tom.
do it in front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do it for,
Pay for
yeah,
somebody
any of
behind
the
you.
police
Tom's done it
that
for
are
me.
behind me,
Yeah.
I like,
But sometimes.
they
people
can't
at
argue at
strangers
that
do it.
point,
They
because
can't
you say,
argue. I know.
I'm paying for the car behind me, they're like, oh, okay, so you pay, and then when they get there, they're like, oh geez, all right, it's paid
Well,
for.
they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We got some money back from Health Trust. We're gonna get it as a credit. That was like $8,000. The other thing is, one of the things which we haven't talked about, I think I can talk about it, but the chief's having a hard time filling positions. So when he gets these other 2 people that we just talked about, he will have 7. And to pay for these increases, he's going to forego that 8th officer. He's not gonna
Really?
fill it. So that will save us health insurance for that particular one. And also, right now, the person that's in the town clerk's office and in helping out the finance officer, that person gets benefits.
Liz.
So, yeah, well, I don't like to use
I know,
names,
but I'm just to keep,
So,
I wanna make sure I know your.
basically, the health insurance line will be down 2 full-time positions.
What
So
happens to her health insurance when she becomes town clerk?
she gets health insurance because she's town clerk.
Okay,
But the deputy or whatever will be back to a half-time person.
oh, I see, okay.
The only thing we might consider, and I'm not sure, because in terms of the person that's interested in doing some volunteer work for the selectman's office, they could probably do some of the stuff that maybe Liz's half-time position was doing, maybe.
Did we
but
talk about that particular person actually helping Steve too?
That is possible as well, so
Yeah.
we'll see. So it's potentially 1, maybe 2, so that's down.
So is Tom's 8th-person position going to be eliminated, or does he still maintain it
He maintains
when
it.
he needs to?
He maintains
do
it, but
that.
he's not gonna fill it for a while.
Okay.
So most likely, the budget money will not be there, but the position is still there.
When the time comes that he needs it
Then he
again?
needs it, because until those 2 people come back from the academy, next May,
Yeah,
he's gonna be, tight. So,
yeah.
What kind of commitment do we have from those people, that they're not just gonna graduate from the academy and then quit in
We-
August?
we have no commitment.
There's no way to, there's nothing to do.
Can't do
Yeah,
it.
there's none.
You
No.
can't do that like sign-on thing like that people do, you gotta be with
I mean,
us
like, I
for
don't know,
2
if my,
years.
if my employer sends me to get my MBA, I commit to working for them for like at least 3 years after I get my
Yeah.
degree, right? And so,
That's what I was wondering.
It's pretty standard.
No, we don't have anything like that with them.
And so I guess the follow-up question is, why?
Yeah, can we?
Why not?
You could, but you've already hired one of them, so you can't really change their terms of employment. So.
Yeah, so.
But he's talking about going forward.
Yeah, going forward, why wouldn't you have a thing
Okay,
of,
you
we
have
will
that
put you through the
conversation.
police academy, you have to work here for 2 years, or whatever the reasonable
Yeah.
amount of
Well,
years is.
on September 22nd, let's ask the chief that question.
sounds good.
Put
It's
that in.
probably a,
That's how Dr. Joel Fleischman wound up, in Alaska,
I
the
see.
whole Northern Exposure show was based on this premise. They paid for him to go to medical school.
It's
We
good enough
did-
for northern exposure.
There's gotta be
I guess
some
that's what
reason.
Tom's gonna tell you is that it's hard enough to find people anyway, if you put
We
one
did-
more string on it, then
just-
they're gonna go someplace else.
Just, and I'm probably kissing and telling, so I'll get in trouble, but the 2 employees that were leaving and then decided to stay, what we gave them, we tied that to an agreement. They will be here for 2 years at least.
We did, okay.
So we tied that, so,
maybe
So
it
for
works.
that-
We do it for
If you
some
wanted.
people,
Well, to keep them,
yeah.
I guess they did, yeah.
And
to
the thing
make
is-
sure.
they didn't really want to leave. One of them, nobody wants to leave, but they,
But they wanna make more money.
yeah, well, one
And
of
so they
them,
leave.
Their family.
one of them was offered a job in the town that he lives in. He lives like 45 minutes away. So if you think about it,
Yeah,
why wouldn't you
I get
want to
that.
work in the town you live in versus
Right.
regular 45 minutes? And
Is that the one that's getting the take-home car too?
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, you got that
45
right.
minutes
So-
away.
Does this create angst with the other people that don't have?
According to the chief, no, because the other people that are still here
They want
value
them.
that somebody else is there to.
Yeah.
Somebody that-
So the
Otherwise,
answer
they're
is
gonna be
yes, they
working a
just don't
lot.
complain to the chief about it.
So, and then the other person that was going to leave and then decided to stay, he was kind of, he wanted to stay, but the other department was offering him so much more money, you can't say no. So, well, he couldn't say no, but we kind of matched what they offered him, so.
So what's that do to our salary scales for the other people? Exactly, I mean,
Yeah.
you're.
So there was increases given to one other person and, no, 2 other people, so, but not as significant as those particular raises, so.
And you do know they all talk to each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
They know,
Yeah.
well, they see the budget, they know what everybody makes, so, you know. there's
Also,
no-
when people say to me, oh, we told them not to talk to other employees. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, sure you did.
So they all know that.
Good for you.
And-
You can tell them.
But, yeah, according to the chief there, they are knowledgeable of what's going on, because he shares all that stuff with them, and they're comfortable with it, so.
Okay, well, good, that's the best you can hope for.
Yeah,
And he-
that's,
And he kept them, so.
Yeah,
yeah, so.
so
I don't
confused.
have any other questions, I can't think of anything else to.
I don't have anything else.
I understand the counter argument about the mandatory tenure as compensation for your police academy tuition, however that works. From what I've seen, the police academy is a fun place to go. I've watched a whole series of films about it.
I don't think that's the same.
But certainly there has to be some, I mean, we could just calculate, okay, so if somebody went through the police academy and quit the day after, or however quickly they can, what's the cost of that? There just has to be some in-between point of, okay, even if we have to pay them X amount more, if that keeps them for this amount of time, you know, we basically have to calculate out
Figure it out.
cost of officer per week, whatever, and you optimize for that, given that there's an upfront cost and then an ongoing cost. But
Well, ask the chief those particular questions.
you know about this stuff because you're like an accountant.
Well, I mean,
So,
I'm an auditor.
Okay, so audit.
she's
you
the
know?
accountant.
Yeah. But we could, it seems like you would reach some sort of,
And then say,
Could reach an equilibrium in
okay,
there.
to have it be worth the value of
Well, that's-
doing this,
yeah,
then
it's worth
you
paying the
would
person a
need
little
to
bit
stay
more.
here for a year or
Yeah.
whatever.
It's unlikely that anybody's gonna actually do that, though. Why would they come to work for us, go through the academy, and then quit and go to work someplace else? That other place would put them through the academy too, if they thought they were gonna get an employee out of it. So I think it's fairly unlikely that somebody's gonna quit as soon as they get through their training.
yeah, I don't worry about as soon as, but we could just run the scenario of how much would it
6
cost if we
months
quit?
or
6
something,
months, a
yeah.
year, 2
Yeah.
years, you know, how much would you have to pay to get them to agree to some minimum amount?
How much is the?
I would just wanna run a couple scenarios and figure out kind of cost
I
per
don't think we
month.
pay anything for the academy.
We don't.
I think it's part of the state.
That's what I wondered.
We
But we pay
them.
them while
We
they're
pay
in the
them.
academy.
Oh, for that time that they are going,
Okay.
yes,
And the
because they're
three-
hired.
The scenario, just like the fire department, the police department, the thing is, usually what happens is, they come here, they get experience doing whatever they're doing, the fire or the police department, and at some point, they're gonna be lured away. That's just the way it is.
By money, yes,
Yeah.
of course, because.
So at the point that they're reaching their like actual productivity, right, that's when people start to leave.
And be
Like,
valued.
They're here for
I'm
2
now
years,
good.
they know the ropes, and now
And now
they
they-
have other opportunities.
They've learned
so that's what they
everything
leave.
and now they're
I mean, it's the same
experienced.
everywhere.
Yeah.
If you think about it, there's one of the gentlemen that did leave us, he left us a little while ago. He came here, he was here like 5 years,
Fire or police?
he was a police officer.
Okay.
He came here.
Donnie,
No,
whatever.
no,
No, another one?
No.
Okay.
So he
What are the
came here,
names, Tom?
but then he got, I think he got married before, I don't know, he got
bummed he
married.
left.
And they wanted to have kids, so,
Yeah.
I have to look for more money, kids are expensive.
Yeah.
And it's a family thing, that's, what happens to
It
people,
happens a
so.
lot.
And the thing is, just like, my perfect example is Jimmy Brown. Jimmy Brown worked here forever, he was a volunteer, he was a firefighter, he went to Durham and probably made $40,000 or $50,000 more, just base.
Mm.
And if you look at the Durham salary stuff, he's usually in the 6 figures. So I don't begrudge these people going and doing that.
No.
And he likes what he's doing, he's a very nice guy, he still lives in Lee, but, he was here forever, but then.
So that's what we have to look at. If it's not a significant difference like that, then, and we can bridge the gap a little bit, which
Yeah.
obviously you did with the
Yep,
police.
You might
Yeah.
save money
We
by
gotta
just
look.
trying to keep these entry-level people on for an additional year.
And
Right.
giving
If
them.
you just had some
a little
incentive or a
bonus,
contract
right,
or something.
yeah.
well, that's what the STEP program is. We lost one person because I don't remember where he went to. I'm gonna say Portsmouth, but don't hold me to that. But he could figure out, in 5 years, I'm gonna be making this.
Right.
And here, we don't do it that way. So that's a lure for the fire department plus the police department, that they can say, okay, this is what I'm gonna be earning, 5, 6 years down the road. They want that kind of stability and
Yeah.
knowing how much they're gonna be making versus, ooh, geez. And if you look at inflation, inflation was 8%, now it's down a little bit, but, that hits people. In terms of fuel and food and stuff like that, it's just life.
How does it work with them being into when they're working for us, they're part of the state pension system?
Mhm.
And if they hop around between departments, that
They
all.
take that with them.
It's
And is there a certain point in which do they have steps in that pension system where there's a vesting period or X amount? means-
Different, in terms of vesting, I'm not sure about the vesting, but, and the thing is, the fire and police departments I'm sure the chief can tell us, but it used to be 20 years, I think it's a little bit longer now. But, you go in when
You
you're
can
20, you
retire.
can retire at 40. So, then they usually go and do something else, like we've got some people that work in other fire departments, but they work for the fire department here part-time.
The guy that was our assistant chief was in Exeter, wasn't he? The one who did the
Yeah.
presentation last year.
Yeah, yeah.
He had retired from Exeter.
So,
Jeff?
Yeah.
yeah, Bordeaux.
Hmm.
But it's the nature of what business is these days. And the thing is, you can say, I'm not gonna give them any more money, then you're gonna get nobody that's gonna work here because they can go other places. And there's less people doing what those particular people are doing. Chief says almost nobody is going into police department stuff. It's not as many as there used to be. Same thing with the fire people.
Oh, really? You think the
Oh,
last
it's
couple of
way
years have
down.
maybe taken some of the incentive out of pursuing that as a career?
It
Well, look at
definitely
what we were
has.
starting, what is our
No, because
salary
my
starting
daughter
for
is
police? It's around,
In
40?
that.
They're more than that now.
But say if it's 40, just for round numbers, that's $20 an hour. Think of what other jobs
Yeah.
people can
Like
do.
you can work at Wendy's for $16 an hour.
And you're not carrying a gun and nobody's trying to kill you. So, it's,
So,
Yeah,
the new officer we just hired is at 2163. Most of the other ones, well, there's one at 20, well, she's not an officer. The other ones are 26, 27, 29, and 31.
and Walmart is still paying almost $30 an hour at their distribution center. Now granted, it's not the same job, but still, you don't
Yeah.
carry a gun, nobody's trying to kill you. So,
Yeah. Well,
That's
he's
even
trying to say
realistically,
that-
you have to recognize that
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
starting them at gazillions of dollars. The problem is that because of the benefit load, it costs us twice that much to let them in the door.
And the rates for police and fire
Would
went
any
up.
of you work as a police officer for $20 an hour?
No, I wouldn't do that.
not in the United States. In India, that'd be a great rate. GDP per capita
India.
is $2,600.
There.
But really, I think once in a while, we have to look at what we pay people in the town and
Yeah.
ask ourselves that question. Would
Yeah.
any of us work for those jobs?
How are other smaller towns?
Not a
I mean,
chance,
that's
right?
another thing we could try to do,
That's
is
why I
at least
think
just
that's
email
low.
other small towns and.
Oh, they've done that.
They've
There's,
done the salary studies.
The chief was telling us, I don't know, well, it's probably general knowledge, but he
Well, not
told
just
us,
salary
we
studies,
did-
but
we did it the
is
last
there anything
couple
else you're
years.
doing to retain
there's
people?
one town, they're down to one sergeant, and that's it. Because they can't hire anybody else. He mentioned a
Okay.
couple of towns that are close to us that they only have one officer, that's it. They used to have multiple, because they can't find anybody to work, so.
So do some towns end up just consolidating with their neighbors?
That's
I
what I'm
know.
thinking, why don't we do that? We have a consolidated school district, why not a consolidated police
There's
force?
something that the chief was
And
looking
then we could
at.
just dissolve the league.
Yes.
I'm sure people would be happy about that.
Come up with
Yeah.
some-
Have
Well,
one town
we'll leave
office.
Madbury. We'll come up with Oyster River, that'll be the new community.
Yeah.
That's something they looked at, the chief in Madbury is retiring or is retired, and that's something that the chief was looking at in terms of the feasibility of saying, okay, we'll do your particular town as well. Same thing with the fire department, so.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Madbury's
I
small
don't like
enough
the
to
idea of
where
consolidating
actually
with a
that
huge
might
community
work,
like Durham, because then
but not
we would be
any
completely
other
swamped by them,
town.
just like we are in all school decisions.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
And they have
Is that ours?
the nature of the towns are just a little different.
No,
But in terms of cost savings,
Not
that's
Burke,
right.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
McGann.
I mean, lots of
Yes.
other places have done it.
He's still,
I think he's leaving or he's retiring, so,
but it is still him
I believe
right
so,
now.
I believe so.
Okay, huh,
But he's part-time.
yeah, he's
too.
been there a long time.
Well, we look at the manpower in town, and they cost us a fortune, but most of us wouldn't work for what we paid our employees,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially to do those jobs.
Some of them. We also did some increases in the transfer station too. I think we were paying them $14 to $15, and most of them are up near 20 now.
Good.
So,
Still can't go around
and it was
20
not
around,
like
but-
they were saying, you know, we're gonna leave if you don't pay us. They were quite happy when they got told that they got a large increase. Oh, thank you very much. So,
Good.
you know, but they do hard work out there too. But that's one of the things I've always tried to do, is if you're doing something for one, you have to do it for
Oh,
everybody,
you have to,
so.
'cause they all talk.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it's
and
only
if you
fair.
think they don't, you're fooling yourself.
Yep.
'Cause they all know everything, so. It's not like, our budgets are not like public, it's like, they can see, we're not stupid.
No, they're,
And
We need a
especially
healthy
in
amount
departments
of
that there's only one
employment.
person, you can tell, so.
Yeah.
we need, is
Yeah,
that what you said?
the situation right now is terrible. I mean, you don't wanna have labor shortages, because it's gonna continue to drive inflation, and also I need to be able to get contractors to work on my house. And you can't do
You
it.
can't
Being
find
so
anyone.
selfish, Cory.
Will they return your phone
This
calls?
is self-interest.
No, you can't hardly get things done, because there's, you know. So it's not a good situation, but, okay. So we're gonna have a bunch of fun things, we're gonna present a budget larger than the last budget. Scott's gonna love the whole process, you can see, he's looking forward to it.
He's gonna try
Oh,
and
that's the
skim
other
it out
thing.
again.
Last year, we only had one of these meetings at the
Right.
end, so I
Yeah.
put in two, so it'd give us time. If we don't need the second one, fine, but at least give us time to
Yeah.
do that particular meeting.
Now,
And
Denise was complaining that we didn't give some of the departments heads enough lead time last year.
that's,
That was because
they okay?
last year was a totally different.
I know, but that, she was starting, you know, she was.
She mentioned
Well-
that on an email, but don't they know that this is coming?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
every
they-
year it's
Well, I-
budget
I
season?
wondered about that, but,
Yeah, they do.
you know.
They do.
Well, she
It's
was in a
okay.
difficult position because Andy was new and she had to do all that stuff, so.
And she was going crazy last year.
Yeah.
I told her,
Are we, is this timetable gonna work for people, or are they all gonna feel like we have?
No, the
sandbagged them?
chief's
no, she
already,
said it's great.
the chief's already, you've
Yeah,
got
we
enough
did it.
notice. The thing that's gonna fall on Stacy's shoulders is your email's in here. So people are supposed to contact you, so for instance, on October 27th, in terms of those social agencies,
Yeah,
are they gonna come, are they not gonna come?
okay,
The other
Alright.
thing you're gonna get is you're gonna be, let's say, I'm just picking this out.
yeah,
Ag Commission, oh no, we can't meet on that day, when else can we meet? So
okay,
you're gonna
So
have
you
to
just
deal with
reschedule.
those particular things.
okay.
And
If you
there's
need
some
help.
of these that we built in time. Public Works is not gonna take 2 hours. Selectmen's budget is probably gonna take maybe a little less.
Okay.
And the IT committee, I'm not sure if they're gonna show up, so find out when they can meet and just pencil them in.
Okay,
So Denise will say,
So try to stick to.
Stacy, this person can't make it on this day, they notify her. And
okay,
she
they
sends
notify
out
her,
the
and then
thing.
she's gonna
And
notify
then
me.
she notifies you.
Okay.
And you'll go, okay,
Yeah.
you can send an email out or
Well,
whatever
I'll
you
stick to
want,
the
and
schedule that
just-
we've agreed
Yeah.
for this group, and then just kind of like shuffle people around within
Yeah.
those dates that we already have
Exactly.
identified.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's
Times or,
okay.
So I will tweak this up and we'll go to changes and I'll send it to Denise and all of you. And she's gonna send it out to all these particular groups. So
Sounds good.
initially, you're gonna get some people that, oh, I can't do that day.
see, that all usually happens in the beginning.
Okay.
So,
And
and then if you send it to Scott, actually, he will tweak the schedule for you and he'll send it back.
So, we still have
Usually.
the Google Drive from last year, and so as stuff comes in, I'll just put stuff in the fiscal year 2024 folder.
Okay.
And I think that, Pat, you're on that, is that still an okay way for us to kind of consolidate documents in that Google Drive?
Yeah, works for me.
Okay,
The other thing.
I might need a lesson.
okay, yeah, it's easy.
The other thing you're gonna get the submissions from all the social agencies, so we
Yeah.
can stick
Yeah.
those in there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I don't think, there's only one person last year that wanted a hard copy, so.
I think Bambi
hopefully-
wanted a hard copy too.
Only because, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And I'm not
Hopefully
sure
we
if
can do it.
Bambi,
Her
I
email
don't
does
think
get
she
better.
does very well with emails.
Well, her email
Because-
is full, so when I sent out the thing last night for this, it got bounced back, because her
It
email's
did?
full.
It says it's full,
Well, the
How is your
codes that
email
come back
full?
say
She
it's
probably
full.
has like a
limited.
Yahoo, whatever.
Or at-
Yeah.
if it's at Comcast.net or something like that, it's an old school email inbox
Yeah.
with, I mean,
Like
presumably, I guess
two
mine
gigabytes.
can get full too, but it's like gigabytes away from that. and,
Yeah.
um,
So maybe she didn't know about this then, because all of our exchange was really through email.
Her email is bambi@proshot.com.
I have no idea what that means.
I think so.
Pro shot, I've heard that.
I never heard of it.
She gun enthusiast?
Two questions. One, will the select board be getting us a target number?
Yes, I was asked that question earlier today.
I did.
Wasn't it you?
It's always.
What was it?
It's always.
And we haven't talked about it yet.
Okay,
So-
can we, like, as the ABC, vote to ask the select board to give us a number as soon as possible? Can we, like, send a message formally?
Sure. We meet next Monday, so I will send that message to them.
Okay,
And I can also, when I
But can
do
we
this,
have
when
a
I
s-
send this to them, I will say that the ABC would like you to discuss in terms of what your guidelines are for the upcoming budget season.
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
fine.
So,
and even if it's a provisional goal, we think initially we'd like to shoot for last year's budget plus X percentage.
Well, they usually give it to the departments are all asking for that. same
Right,
thing.
they usually send it to
Yeah,
They
them.
usually send it to the departments, because the departments, I think last year were asked to budget flat, and almost nobody did. So,
How are they gonna budget flat now if they've all been given raises?
well, they couldn't last year either for the same reason, because
Yeah.
they had done salary
Yeah.
adjustments last year, so.
oh,
I
the.
see.
That's
the big-
just the request, so they don't like throw a bunch of stuff in there and then they do, and then
The public works
they
guy,
try and.
Steve, all of his materials have gone up big time.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sure.
of course,
So,
yeah.
the other thing we just got extra money from the highway block grant. We got our regular 95,000 plus we got another 80,000. So that's something that we can talk about in terms of, thought would be maybe we give that money to them so he can do more paving. Because paving, the rate is up big time, so
Everything's just
everything's up. Seems like there's six.
way up.
Scott, when we're done here, can we have 10 minutes on CIP offline?
Sure, if you want, I don't, okay, yeah. $79,720 extra we got this year.
Oh, super.
That was a one-time thing, so maybe we can use that.
Did we
for-
have to apply for that, or is that?
No, they just got it as part of the legislature, had extra money, so they allocated that out. So, which is good, but we can use it for like paving or something like that, something to do with support of the roads and stuff. We can't just use it for, whatever we want. Has to
Aren't they
be-
considering doing registration rebates or something too?
Ooh, I don't know, I haven't heard that.
I thought that there was some,
Like motor vehicle registration?
Yeah, it came up because I was looking to see what the rules are, because I just registered my car, we registered, and we just traded in our car. Like,
You
how much
get
do I get
You
back?
get a credit, you get
Yes,
some.
I did, but something came up about how, basically the state has a surplus right now
Mhm.
in the highway fund.
Mhm.
So there's-
Yeah.
I
So
heard the
they
Maine
were
did
giving
something like that.
some like, yeah.
Mm.
They're thinking of rebating or just
Rebate.
decreasing the amount for vehicle registrations.
That would be nice.
There's a-
Well, one of the things that, when I went to the municipal association, one of the things that, because I participated in the legislative policy committee this last spring, and one of the things that we looked at the last 2 years, different states are doing this to poach people's registrations. Maine does it. Arizona, there's like half a dozen of them, and there's more every single year. So what happens is, Maine says, oh, whoever you are, doesn't matter where you are, register your car with us, you don't have to inspect it, and we'll give it to you for a cheaper rate.
How
So,
can they do that
it's perfectly legal.
in different
Um,
states?
Yep, and then what's happening is, you know.
Don't you have to get the
not
license
tons of-
plate and everything else from
They
them?
send it to you. Yeah.
So they're saying you can register your car in our state without any residency requirement.
Mhm.
Yep, and then,
Cool. Okay.
it's a way cheaper rate, but the thing is, not many residents are doing it, people, regular people, it's the businesses. So, for instance, there's certain companies, won't give you any names, in New Hampshire, that register their vehicles, all their fleets
Sure.
in Maine.
It's like
So it costs them-
every cruise ship is flagged out of Liberia.
Yeah, so
For a
that's,
reason.
so what that
Because there's no
does to
regulations.
the town that hosts that particular entity, they're losing all that registration money. And we had Rebecca, what's her real, Coca? I don't remember what her middle name, but she's our state senator. So I brought that up when she was here, and she didn't know anything about it. So I put her in touch with the municipal association, and she's thinking about supporting a bill so that New Hampshire doesn't
You need to
allow that.
register your car in New
If you
Hampshire.
live in New Hampshire and you have your business in New Hampshire, or you have your business in New
I
Hampshire,
thought that's
your
the way
vehicles
it
have to be
was.
registered in New Hampshire. And many states are doing this to combat these places, because Maine's doing nothing and they're getting all this money.
They don't, it doesn't trigger use tax or sales tax, really?
As far as I know, no. That's why all these businesses are doing it, all these. So if you've got like, 100 fleets of trucks, tractor trailers, it's like hundreds of dollars to register that vehicle, but if they go to Maine, they get it for like $20, $30.
But individuals
You could do that too.
go, you can?
According to them, yes, you can.
Because I know a number of people that have moved to Maine and then switched their registration to Maine because they think they have to. Do you have to in Maine?
I
Does
don't,
Maine have the law? You have to do it in Maine?
I don't
People move
know.
to Kittery and
Yeah.
don't re-register their cars, and the cops go around at night and put notes on their cars that they have
Yeah.
their plates changed, so I don't.
So that's like.
So
the
maybe
reverse.
Maine has the rule that you have to do it in Maine,
Yeah, it's something.
but they will do it for any other state. Huh.
So some states are worse than others, but.
All right,
But that hurts towns that have, like, for instance, us, I don't believe S&J does it, but if S&J said, hey, I want to save some money, that would hurt the town, because that's our biggest revenue besides taxes, property taxes, so. Oh, and that's the other thing I can tell you. 4 or 5 years ago, it was 4 or 5 years ago, a while ago, our unpaid property taxes was about 600,000. Now, at this particular time, it's down to 129,000.
oh, that's
So
good.
we've been very aggressive with the people that haven't paid their taxes. We've been telling them, we're sending them nasty letters that say, you need to pay your taxes or we're gonna deed your house. That usually scares them. We've got some other people on payment plans, so we've got it down from that high amount down to 129,000. And really, of that 129,000, there's really only 3 that are big time. The rest of them are relatively small. But
That's good.
some people will just string it out and
Some people
they're paying a significant amount of interest on that, but they keep doing it. But that's their choice, but
Yeah.
Does that affect anything does that
Yes.
affect rate setting or anything like that we do?
no, it affects how much you've got available in your unassigned fund balance.
Okay,
Because the unassigned fund balance is, your assets minus your liabilities and stuff like that. Pat will tell me if I'm wrong. but some of those particular fund balance is, uncollected taxes. So right now, we're at $2 million unassigned. We don't have $2 million of cash just
The
sitting there.
cash issue.
Yeah.
You don't have that cash,
Okay,
you already
so that's,
recognize the revenue.
it's still unassigned fund balance, just a line is moved between collected and uncollected?
Mhm,
Okay,
basically.
It's not cash.
okay.
Because
So-
people think
You
that,
already
oh, we got
recognize the revenue.
$2 million, and we can do whatever, no, we don't have
It's
$2
not
million.
all cash.
Because it's also receivables, if people, haven't paid us. Like, for instance, we had some outstanding, what is that called? I want to say dirt permits, but it's not, but it's the gravel permits and timber taxes and stuff like that, and they were outstanding. We've been collecting those, so it's all those kinds of things, they all add up,
Yep.
so.
Yeah,
Enough?
any way for us to increase the tax base? Get a commercial tenant in at the Circle, so we can tax
Oh.
them?
Oh, what about the Circle?
They have
That was what I
water.
was gonna ask.
Oh,
What's going in, or is anything going in, or what are they waiting for now?
Yes and no.
They got water.
They have water.
Water's done.
I'm not sure if the water is actually done, but yes.
Well,
The
pipes are
line's
there,
put
I
in,
guess.
I don't know if the
Dunkin'
water is
Donuts
up.
closed one day so they can move to town.
Yeah,
water.
I haven't asked about that. The thing is, supposedly, the area behind the Rusty Lantern,
Mhm.
they were waiting for water to come in, and they were gonna do like a strip mall. It was supposed to be like a restaurant, but not like a 99, it's supposed to be something like smaller. So that's supposed to go in. The old Mick and Herb's place, the gas station, that is supposed to be turned into a car wash that's been
Oh,
through the
they finally
planning board.
got it?
Well, they went through the planning board, I don't know if it's been
I
approved
mean,
yet.
they finally sold it?
I mean, the
I
one,
don't know if he
Before.
sold it, but
the one next to the golf range.
It's gonna be a car wash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was this side.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they've gone through the planning board process, I don't know if it's been approved. There's a lawyer from New York that
It's
is
gonna be a
actually
car
selling it.
wash.
So, the little place where the hot dog place was supposed to be
Yeah.
in, I'm not sure what's happening with that. The guy supposedly was gonna buy it, he's gonna put a hot dog stand in there, I don't know. What else?
It's
I don't know if there's anything else happening.
the back, but is this a long way off the plaza with the restaurant and the other thing, or is it?
I'm not sure, the guy that owns the Rusty Lantern, that particular thing, he's
Yeah.
the one that
He owns the
basically,
whole
he
thing.
leased it out to
Right.
Irving, and so he can have the money available so he can do that thing in the back.
Right.
They put in, curb cut permit was only for so far that, for so long, and so that's why they put those in, to get those in before it expired. So I'm not sure when he's building and what he's building exactly, but the restaurant needs the water, so.
Be
when
nice
the
if
water
we could
went
get a
in,
restaurant.
So,
Well,
but it's not,
Dunkin's is on town water now, they have told us.
okay, then the water's, I haven't.
The water's there.
I
The
haven't
water's
asked.
gotta be there, I mean, they
Yeah.
dug up the dirt there in the grass
Right.
about 10 times and put it back.
Exactly, I know.
Um,
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see.
So I haven't asked Karen, so those are good questions for Karen.
So when our Dunkin' Donuts coffee is no longer made from a well next to a gas station?
Yes.
Right,
That might,
Yeah.
that might be good for
Maybe
the,
that's,
now you're coming out of
the taste is
Lead
gonna
Five
be.
Corners, and the water should be considerably better.
yeah, I don't know,
So-
that hint of diesel.
Yeah.
really put
That was
it-
keeping you going. Maybe
Their
you
coffee
like.
doesn't have as much horsepower as it used to.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
What should I do with these minutes are
You
kind
have
of a
to-
pile of nonsense from this meeting,
Well-
but I'll make it into something that
write
makes
them
it
up and
sound.
send it to us, and we'll have to like approve them.
Yeah.
And then you, when they're approved, you can give them to Denise.
Do we approve them at the next meeting?
You
Yeah,
can.
we can.
Okay.
And then
Okay, I'm
Stacy would give them to,
on to Denise.
or
Can
anybody can send.
I please move to adjourn this current meeting?
Second.
Yes.
Excellent.
Aye.